Yo, 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 you are now tuned into the Pass My Wine podcast. I'm your host, Remo.
And I'm Briggs Jones. Today we have some Black excellence joining us today. Young lady, please introduce yourself.
Thank you for the Black excellence. Hello, everybody. This is your girl, Brittany Martin. I am a singer, writer, and I'm also an educator.
Yes, an
Family
educator.
to the show.
Facts.
Right. So
Yep.
listen, bro, hold on. Before we get into that, why don't you tell me about your last project real fast?
Yes.
So about a month ago, I just dropped a brand new project. It's called Lover's Lane. So y'all make sure y'all look for that. It's on Amazon Music, Tidal, Spotify, YouTube, Brittany, T-T-A-N-Y, T Martin, Lover's Lane. Okay, check it out. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. It's about the ups and downs, the all arounds. You already know.
Jack of all trades, singer, you know what I'm saying, teacher.
Facts.
Okay, well, bro, listen, since she's a teacher, why don't you bring us into our first topic today?
Well, since you are a teacher, you know what I'm saying, it's only fitting that we name this show Saved by the Bell.
Right.
Basically, you know, we want to talk about, you know, what is life for a teacher when the bell rings. Because, you know, when I was a kid, I just thought, you know, when the bell ring, teachers go hide in the closet and we see you the next day at 9 o'clock. I did not know y'all had lives.
You know what's crazy? Me too. I thought the teachers was just boring, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, she ain't doing nothing. Miss so-and-so, she ain't doing nothing much. You know what I'm saying? But being in it is completely different. Like, I promise y'all, I'm going to drop a couple gems and some bombs. You know, a couple people going to be mad, but it's cool.
Okay, so what, how can I say this? What education do you teach?
So I'm a special education teacher, and I am a part of a low incidence program. I deal with students with autism, Down syndrome, visually impaired, can be hearing impaired. Sometimes they may just struggle in one content area like reading or math. So yeah, I do a little bit of all that, everything.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So do you find it like, do you think it's more difficult than what you signed up for when you like originally graduated college?
So first of all, the way I got into teaching was a little different than most people's anyway. Like, I was going to school for education, and then I switched over to psychology. So my degree is actually in psychology.
Wow.
For real, yeah. Then I started dibbling and dabbling in other things. I liked philosophy, so I got a minor in philosophy.
Hated
I love philosophy.
Hate it.
I mean, the fact that you can question anything,
True.
right? And if you have enough reasoning to back it up, you can't
Unless
really
you
say
had a
if you're right or
professor that
wrong.
always wanted to argue with you and debate you like, no, your
You
theory
know?
is wrong. No, it's philosophy.
Yeah.
Everybody has a theory. That's what
Yeah, it
philosophy
can't be
is
wrong.
about.
Nah, there ain't no right or wrong with philosophy, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I actually was like, no, I don't want to be a teacher no more. I switched over, and I was in behavioral health for a little bit, kind of like a one-on-one. If you ever see a kid with a person with them all the time.
What's that?
A TSS worker, right?
TSS?
I did that for like 5 years, and that was dependent on the client. So if the client didn't come, then I wasn't getting paid. So I was like, no, I got to do something else.
You know what? I actually did that for a while. I
Yeah.
actually enjoyed it. Like,
It's a
with
good
me,
little joint.
It was easy to make money because all you basically had to do was do something productive with the kid. So it was
Yep.
like I would get off work, go get the young boy. We go to the movie theater. You
Yep.
know, I drop a couple
Yeah.
of gems on him. Like, look, man, we can't keep doing all that at school. And drop him off.
Yeah.
And then I do my paperwork,
And
turn in at
what
the end
makes
of the
it
week.
dope is your hours, right? Like, you could kind of get
Exactly.
once they tell you the total amount of hours, as long as you get them in, it's kind of on your own time. So it was a dope. I loved doing it, and I had a client that I absolutely loved. I had him for a long time, but I was living on my own, and the bills is just inconsistent
Yeah.
money. The money's inconsistent. So when I started
Definitely a
teaching,
hustle.
I said, I'm just going to teach part time, and I'm just going to be a teaching assistant, and then I'm gonna still do the TSS. You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I never wanted to like become a full time
Teacher.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Not. But I always
but
love
you
working
think
with kids.
you found the love in it? Like,
I always had the love, right? I've been working with kids since I was 15. You know what I'm saying? So I always knew I wanted to work with children. That's why when I switched over from education to psychology, I still was going to be a counselor, but for kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I try to run away from something that's just naturally in me. So like when I started doing the teaching, it was part-time, but then I was at my job and they like, yo, you so dope, you know, whatever. So I just end up moving up. The next thing I know, right, I went from part-time to full-time, from just still like a support teacher
Okay.
and a little bit of lesson planning just for small groups. And I was doing that. Then I went to like, look, we don't have this teacher, somebody moving out this role, and we need somebody to fill in. Can you do it for a little bit? And I'm like, oh yeah, I do it for a little bit, but I ain't doing this forever.
Next thing you know.
Then I'm lead teacher for
locked
2
in.
years. You know what I'm saying? So like,
Yeah.
I have really been all around the board with it.
Okay.
so as a teacher, a young teacher, Do you feel as though that you have a better relationship with the students being a younger teacher as opposed to older teachers with students?
Yeah, and I
Like,
also think about when we was young, right? Like our teachers were older.
Yeah, and I didn't want to talk to him.
Old as hell.
That was me.
Right.
I wasn't comfortable
They look like
talking to him.
librarians.
I had a teacher named Miss Danback. You know she old as shit just by the last name.
Yeah, so it was different. I feel like we didn't see that many young teachers. If it was like one or two. So
Yeah.
I think that me and my kids can have conversations that when we were kids couldn't have with our teachers.
Because you're more in touch with their generation.
Right? Or we didn't feel that we could, right? We didn't
Yeah.
feel those vibes. We didn't feel that energy like, oh, Miss So-and-so know who this person is and this rapper.
Now,
yeah.
do you think, not you, of course, but do you think that younger teachers is the reason why is so many teachers getting caught on these sex scandals and whatnot like that? Because old Miss Danback ain't have no sex scandal. She was like 60.
So let's talk about that though, right? I
The
just feel
Stanback
like
was probably trying to hit your daddy.
Might have. Nigga was a Rolling Stone.
maybe not in our culture as much as we see it now.
Oh no, it's
But
definitely
the
not.
teacher and kid thing been happening for a long time. I maybe not. That's what I'm saying. Maybe we haven't been exposed to it as much, but it's been like how many Lifetime movies your chicks or y'all women or somebody seen
True that.
where the parent right find out their kid is with Mr. So and so or the other way around. But I do think that we are in the land of exposure, right? Like you can't do anything anymore and get away with it. So we also we're from the era of it's all out in the open.
Yeah, it's crazy when you.
So I don't think it wasn't happening.
Got an Instagram page
I
too.
just don't think that certain conversations were being really brought to light, and I also don't think culturally on our end that's something that we really worried about before. But
Yeah, and you know what? Them older teachers, like, all due respect, shout out to Miss Danbeck. Them older teachers was like ugly. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to brag about hitting no ugly teacher. But these teachers now be bad as shit. I'm bragging
Even
about
the pretty
it.
teachers that I had, like I had this teacher named Miss Pierce. She was my Spanish teacher. I had a crush on her. I used to show up to her class every day. To this day, I don't know one lick of Spanish. I don't know how I passed that class. Maybe because she felt the crush that I had on her, and she was like, "Okay, he's a nice student."
Yeah.
But me and her, I think I just turned 18. It was my last year. That's when I had her. She was probably 24. Gap wasn't that different.
that's what but that too,
But
right?
it's crazy that you say that because, like, when I graduated, that's what made me start being interested in this conversation. Because, like, once I got out of school, 3 years, now I'm 21. So you add 3 years onto her 24, she's 27. So I'm 21, she's 27. I run into her at the club.
It's not that big of a deal.
Exactly. So now I'm like, I see you in the club. You're not my teacher no more. What's up?
What happened
She
at the
like,
club, though?
She like, no, you was one of my former teachers. I mean, one of my
respect
former
Now, see, I'm
students.
like that, right? I'm like that. If you was a student of mine or something like that, to
I
hear and all that.
respect
But there are people who aren't like that. I also think, though, too, that with some of these younger educators who may not be from like urban areas, right, that come in the urban areas, they have like this adoration for the culture within itself. And they want to relate so hard to the kids. And sometimes they have this way of not establishing like a respectful rapport relationship.
Try to be too much of their friend.
Yeah, so I just feel like, I could see a lot of that happening. Like,
but
the
you
kid
think
and
as a
the
teacher, that's where you got to draw the line. Like, okay, I'm going to be your friend, but I'm also your teacher and also an adult. Like, do you think
but everybody
that need
not
to
though,
be
right? Especially if we talking about age. So like, if you saying your teacher 24.
Yeah, I mean, but she always made that clear. She like
your teacher did, right?
Yeah,
But I'm
she
saying
made that clear.
now-
She like, look, you're my student.
Right.
I'm your teacher. I don't care
But I'm saying
how
now-
old you are when you got out of school. You're gonna always be my former teacher. It'll never
But now
happen.
we're talking about like why do we think it's so common now? So one, I'm saying like because you can't get away with anything anymore, the exposure, and then two, I think that people are not really establishing that strong respect for teachers, and so a lot of lines is being crossed. Also, mentally, if you're younger, you might not really be where you think you are just because you're 23, 24. You're still figuring yourself out.
Yeah.
So can you date an 18-year-old? I could see somebody doing that. I just think you need to know where you are.
I think older women do that in
They
this
do,
generation.
right?
Like older women, they do date younger men.
Yes.
So
And
it's
don't
like
get in trouble for it.
exactly. But
Yes.
it's like when
Right.
you put the teacher-student criterion,
You gotta
I
have
think
a
that's when you
boundaries.
gotta have the
gotta have
boundaries.
But
Yeah.
everybody doesn't have them, and then, and right, the boundary's not there.
Yeah, because she probably gonna look at it like, okay, you grown now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like if you're a teacher and let's say you 40 and you dating an 18-year-old, but you teaching 12th grade high school.
Yes.
That's weird because you might be looking at you got a little side, whatever you want to call it, 18-year-old, and now your students is 18.
Now that's a good question.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Now,
saying.
if you got a teacher that's an older woman, now her students is the same age
That's when
as
I
the
had to do
person
she
that she's dating.
Yeah, so that's
That's
what I'm saying. Like,
crazy.
Everybody wondering who this random young boy
But
with
it's
the
cool
blonde waves at the
outside
prom is
of the
and
school.
whatnot.
Right, but then- but then
Because
it
when I was
becomes-
going to school, like, remember I told you, I was like, yo, it's this girl I was in school with. Boy look old enough to be everybody dad at the jump.
But
And I'm
also-
looking at the teachers like, y'all don't have
Think
a
about
problem with
this.
this grown ass man at our prom.
how many young girls, right, was 15
R.
and their
Kelly.
boyfriends was how many young?
Go ahead,
how many young
I got
girls
some
was
stuff to say.
15
Yeah.
and they 20-year-old boyfriends used to come pick them up
Pick
from
them up at
school.
school.
In a 2004 Charger. Listen,
Look, and,
Right?
and TA like,
So-
I think your boyfriend out
So
there
what's
waiting
the
for
difference
you.
between? So what I'm saying is, if the man had a job at the school and he was, see what I'm saying? If the guy had a job at the school
Yeah.
and he was 20 and she was 15, see
see
what I'm saying?
The
So
janitor 20, her
Right,
boyfriend 20, and she
right.
15.
So
Man.
what I'm saying is we start looking at things differently. We basing it on the title or the position at that time, right? So if
Yeah.
we're going to talk about like the teacher being with is the teacher wrong, the 20-year-old wrong for dating the 15-year-old because they work there because of the job? Or is it just wrong across the board? Now, to me, it's wrong across the board.
Yeah.
Right?
But
I'm just
society
saying,
gonna look at
we
it
see
as
it
the job.
happening. We see the girl
Yeah.
with the 20-year-old boyfriend picking her up, and she
Yeah.
in 10th grade.
We call them
Problem,
sugar mamas.
yo. It
Sugar
was so
mamas and
hard.
sugar daddies.
It was so hard for me to bag chicks in the 9th and 10th grade year because they was dating niggas that was like 26
Yes.
years old.
Yeah.
The shorty going to tell me, what can you do for me? Miss nothing. What are you
wanna know
talking
the
about?
crazy part that used to wear me out about that? Like, cause at Dobbins, like, it used to be the let out. Like, it just be a whole bunch of grown ass men
Yep.
outside of Dobbins waiting for like they little young Joes to come out. But it be NTAs outside, and I'm just like, y'all see this?
Letting
So
the shit
I
rock
don't know. Like I said, it's just
That's what I'm
like you
saying. It's
said, the
the
lines get blurred.
Yeah.
So it's just like when
Man,
we pick and choose
Right.
when it's wrong? Like, because
And this
it's
stuff
wrong
been
all
That's what I'm
around.
saying. It been happening, the age thing and all that. It's just that, more light is being shown to certain things. So.
Right.
So how do you feel about, the parent teacher conferences, like dealing with, the parents? Because I know that could be crazy.
So here's what I want to talk about, right? So let me answer that. First of all, when your child, now I'm dealing with 13 to 21. So think about when we was in high school, your parents wasn't really coming up there when you 16.
It wasn't.
They pretty much done checking for your report card,
They
right?
ain't coming
Exactly.
till graduation.
Right. So that's an issue that I really haven't had too much because our issue for me, especially me dealing with my population of students, children with different special needs, is that the parents aren't as involved as we would like them to be.
Okay.
See, for my kids, I'd rather their parents come and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And be, so that whatever we follow in at school, you can follow at home because that's really going to give your kid a lot of success, right? That's going to make your student or your child as successful and as independent as they can be if we on the same lines. So, like, the parent-teacher conferences, I wish we had parents there, but we really don't. So that's not an issue I go
Well,
through.
I know for me, for parent-teacher conferences, my problem is I had problems with the older teachers and I had problems with the younger teachers. The reason why I had problems with the older teachers because, I look young for my age, for what I am. So I feel as though like an older teacher, she tries to put me in that box as I'm a young parent that had a child and she think that she's going to try to
And you don't know
chastise
what
me
you're
like a
doing and all
child.
that.
And
Yeah.
then it's like I got to tell them, I'm like, yo, miss, I'm 40 plus years old. Like, we probably the same age.
Yeah.
So now the conversation is different. Now you talking to me different. Now you talking to me like an adult. But it's like now I done already lost the respect because you done already.
The perspective has changed.
Exactly. And the same thing with a young student because now
young
when I
teacher?
deal with a young teacher,
Yeah.
now she think we the same age. So
Yeah.
now this.
But that's again,
And it's
right?
like, no, we not the
The
same age.
boundaries
Like,
and the
I'm not
respect
a
isn't
kid.
there.
So it's like, I'm really talking to you like a parent. So I feel as though, like, I don't really get the respect as a parent that
Right.
I'm supposed to get from a younger and an older teacher. So it's
Right.
like, I'm kind of like in the middle.
So
So
I-
how do you feel, dealing with parents of different, like, ages? Like, how do you deal with it?
So I think for me, I'm like kind of like just a straight shooter, right? So if I see that a parent is talking to me a certain way and seeing how things are going, like I'm like, hey, I'm so-and-so's teacher. I've been doing this for X amount. I always have to bring my experience into it. And then also let the parent know, like, I'm concerned, right? I have a lot of concern and love for your child. So I'm not here for us to debate about who should be doing what and where you are and what your position is in your child's life and what my position is. I'm here so that we can come together and really work towards making your child really grow all across the board. So sometimes I think it's just about the way you come in. So if I see a person coming in hostile, I just stay calm and look, hey, I understand your frustration, or hey, I get what you're saying, but this is why we're here, right? That's the purpose of this. Sometimes it's gonna be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Now, do you come across parents that run from accountability of their
Of course.
kids?
I come from parents who run from accountability.
Yeah.
I come from parents who get checks for their students but won't buy them a pair of uniform pants. See what I'm saying? And these kids get checks.
Yeah.
Right?
So, do you feel as though that the younger parents are less involved than the older parents?
Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah. I think that a young parent who has multiple children and happens to have a child with a disability is sometimes discouraged and just doesn't know what to do and doesn't want to deal with some of the situations or the issues with their child.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they're coddling, right? My kids have a disability, so I'm just gonna hold them and let them do whatever they want to do and let them say whatever they want to say. And like I said, some of my kids don't look like they have a disability, so I have to explain to them all the time.
Yeah.
You guys look like everybody else, right? And this adults that have some of the things that y'all have that are in jail. So if you go out here and you do the wrong thing, you're going to jail. Your mother, your father, your grandma, they can't come pick you up.
Right.
You know, they can't coddle you and all that. So yeah, the older parents tend to be a little more involved. That's true. I do see that. But the older parents are part of the coddling too.
Okay. So let me come away from the personal part of your teaching. How do you feel about teaching Black history in school compared to teaching it as history with the rest of
We ain't
history?
gonna talk about sure they got to put a podium up there and talk about say, we want to thank Martin Luther King for freeing the slaves.
my
What?
God. The first
you know
Black
what?
man.
Wait a minute, hold up. Shout out to Doughboy
What?
Snook from our last episode. Like, bro, you was right. Black history needs to be
Black history.
taught.
But see,
But it never was. That's a problem, though, right? So why? Like, I know a lot of people had this debate about us having even a Black History Month. Why do we have to have a Black History Month? Why is it this not? Because it's not included. Because we don't talk about it, right? We don't have it. So if we don't claim something and speak on it, who else gonna do it? I remember when I was in history class. So how do I feel about Black? I think history should be including us in general.
And that's
Exactly.
what
That's
I
the
say.
problem.
All right, cool.
Like, I feel as though Black history is American history.
Yeah.
Because it
It
happened in
is.
America.
Yeah.
So why isn't Black history part of American
a
history?
part- it
Because
should
you
be
don't
a-
separate the Irish history from American history. You
right.
don't separate the Jewish history from American history.
And
like,
the funny thing is, when we take history, you learn about all those cultures and all the things that they went through, and they never say nothing about you.
they don't.
I hated history class.
I hated it too.
Nothing went.
Like I actually took a Black culture class when I got to college. because
Nothing
I felt
related.
as
I
though
couldn't
didn't get
relate
enough.
to none of it. So it was a bunch of
Right.
wah to me. So yeah, I think
Well, I know for me, I was an adamant reader. So
right.
my whole problem with school, like I always got into the debate. So, the history class would be Christopher Columbus discovered America.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, no, he didn't. She'd be like, well, yes, it did. It say this in this book. And, I'll tell her, like, well, how did he discover something when people was already here? That's like me walking in your class and saying this
and they say
class
that
is
in the book.
mine.
They say that part in the book too.
Yeah, right.
It
So
literally
no,
say it was
I just
Indians
feel
there
like
when he
It
got
do.
there.
That's what I'm saying.
The
Like,
whole system, honestly, the school, the way that the system works and the things that they have in place, they need to go back to the drawing board, just period.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff is outdated. A lot of things just aren't really happening. Half of the stuff we teaching these kids we don't really use.
well, I think, I think
We need
from
to
my
revisit
perspective,
the board.
well, yeah, it do. It need. I
and
think everything
everybody
need
needs
to be,
included, though,
yeah,
right?
it need to be
everybody,
revisited
and I'm
and
not-
rewritten.
We following stuff that didn't include us.
Yeah. See, I don't
From the
got
rip.
no I don't got no problem with, being included. Like you said, everybody should be included. And I hate when people say, well, y'all got Black History Month. We don't got no month because y'all got the whole year. 28 days not enough.
28 days.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's not fair when I literally have a history class.
Especially
Yeah.
when the 12th
But
through the
everything
14th,
Except for
you was your
February, y'all
significant
talk
other.
about me in February.
Everything that
like-
is set as a standard for us was not we were never included in those decisions. Everything
Now-
that's written, we had nothing to do with the writing. So why do we have 28 days? Come on. They have the power for everything.
Okay, now here's
Yeah.
my question for that. As a teacher, do you go outside of those learning
Yeah.
guidelines? Because I like
You have
shout
to.
out to Miss Petrelli. That's my favorite teacher, and we gonna cross that because
Yeah.
I want to know who everybody's favorite teacher
Yeah.
was. But
Miss Dan
shout
back.
out to Miss Petrelli. You know what I'm saying? Because Miss Petrelli, like, she never stayed in the guidelines of the learning.
But you
guidelines
have
that they
to come
gave
out
us.
of
Like,
it.
she came out of it, and she was like,
But
no,
because
like,
she did that, right, she made an impact in your
yeah,
life.
she did.
But guess what happened to her probably? Probably was getting reprimanded
She was.
by her superiors
She was.
for being who she was. That is why a lot of educators right now, these young people that's going into education, they're not staying.
Yeah.
They can't keep teachers anymore. I don't know if y'all peep that.
But see, this is what
But I'm gonna tell you why,
I'm a-
because when you go outside the borders, right, and you really do care, and you bringing in your own stuff, and you're doing different, you are reprimanded by your superior for that.
Wow.
But see, this is what I'm saying.
Unfortunately,
But see, this what made Miss Petrelli so special. Even though she got reprimanded for coming out those learning guidelines, as much as they reprimanded her, they couldn't do nothing to her because her class increased every
numbers,
year.
the numbers.
Dang.
Like the numbers was increasing
Well, you know
because it
something
was
about
just
numbers?
like, well, why is everybody coming to her class if she's such a bad teacher? Because it was like word of mouth. Because you gotta remember,
Yeah,
like in my
but
era,
it's
we didn't
bad
have
that
cell
it's like that. It
phones,
shouldn't
we
be
didn't
that
have
way, though.
social media. It was just we running around, like, yo, man, y'all gotta get in Miss Petrelli shop class. Like, yo, she gonna teach you something
gotta-
different.
I got a friend who is an educator. Shout out to Miss Ikea. And the Black History Month, every day, she talks to the kids about someone who's Black who's made an impact. Sometimes she showed our kids movie clips or something. She chooses a topic every day, the whole month of February. That's just what she do in her class period. So that's not a part of her content.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But that is something that she is very adamant about doing, and she does it for Black History Month every day. She has something, and so I know that she's a part of our program. So I know that at least one period of the day in February, my kids are going to learn something about themselves and see people who look like
That's
them,
good, Joe.
who've established greatness. So she's a teacher, right, who going against the grain a little bit. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
doing what needs to be done, and we have to have those kind of people.
Definitely,
Otherwise, where we gonna be
definitely.
at?
Yeah. Yeah.
I say we gonna be stuck in the wheel like the mouse, just
You know?
Yeah.
running
A lot of
around,
stuff
going
about
nowhere.
us I learned because I went to HBCU, and that's the beach.
Shout out there.
Shout out to LU. Lincoln, period. You already know, Reem. You was up there for some time.
Hey, yo.
I already know, under the tunnel. But I learned when I went to the HBCU, in your first year, they give you a class. It's called African American Experience. They give you something else. It's like first year or something. I can't remember what it's called. But I had some professors who looked like me, finally. And I went to schools in the neighborhood schools, but I still had a lot of white teachers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
my professors was all Black doctors, people who wrote books and everything, educators. And in their content, they were talking about, a Black person made this and this, and all this stuff that we done, and I didn't know nothing about it.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
stuff with the refrigerator or the
Yeah.
traffic light,
Right.
stuff with the broom and
Bro,
all.
I didn't even know a black
cotton
person
gin.
came up with the automatic dryer, yo.
Just so
Off my
many.
head.
I'm-
Why is that
I'm
not in
still-
American history?
I'm still stuck with a Black person coming out with the cotton gin, bro. That shit.
Just like
Wow. Like,
what?
what are we
That's
doing?
half of
And I'm talking about basic things we do, right? And use this things everybody use every day.
Yeah.
You can go in your house right now, pull out 10 different things that everybody uses that a Black person created,
Yeah.
right? Or helped make it better, reinvented it.
Yeah.
It's just, and nobody knows.
So who's the teacher that made the biggest impact on your life?
I had multiple teachers for different reasons. Because first of all, I was a teacher's pet for some years. Okay, I also was the honor roll child for some time,
Hey,
even
listen.
though I'm a
Look where
little
you ended up,
mouthy.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, hey.
It worked.
So,
worked.
so in elementary school, I'd say Miss Lovey, because I used to my handwriting never been great, but Miss Lovey always pushed me with my writing, and she was a very loving teacher, but she didn't take no mess. And so shout out to Miss Lovey. I don't know if she's still here with us. I hope so, but she was great, and that was F.S. Edmonds up Mount Airy. And then when I went to Leeds, I had a teacher named Mr. Williams. I was really interested in science at one time, and he used to take us on these trips where we go like to streams and lakes and stuff, and really get in there and dig out different stuff and all that. And it was just dope to have those kind of experiences. He was really into science, and he made it fun. So shout out to Mr. Williams. And Mr. Robinson was my 6th grade teacher. me and him are still close. Me and Mr. Robinson. So shout out
what's
Mr.
up.
Robinson.
Love.
He had put a choir together. And before that, I was like singing in church my whole life, but that was my first like school group, and he wrote songs and stuff like that.
You can hit a hymn if you want to.
Shout out to Mr. Robinson.
Oh my God.
And in high school, you got a bunch of different teachers. So, but in high school, I had Graham. I was a vocal major in high school, and I had Mr. Graham. And he, shout out to you, Mr. Graham. And
high school.
Yeah, and me and him still tight too. You already know. And Graham ran the choir too. But what I learned from him, I started learning how to sing songs in different languages and to really stretch and breathe, like a lot of vocal techniques, how to read music notes, all that stuff I got from Graham. So shout out to you, Graham. Shout out to the teachers.
How about you?
What's your teacher?
I go real quick. I kind of got like a 2-part joint. I was in speech therapy growing up. I used to stutter real bad. I couldn't
That's
catch
crazy,
up. I couldn't see
Rick.
Cow. Shit, wow. Like I do it sometimes.
Talk like
here
a
and there.
TV boy.
Right.
but yeah, so I was going to speech therapy or whatever. Lady named Ms. Levin or whatever. So it was like around Father's Day.
Mhm.
I'm in the 4th grade, and we had to do a little speech report on the male that made an impact in our life. And the only impact I could come up with at the moment was my brothers, because my pop was gone for like a year.
Okay.
So I didn't know where he was at, and I felt embarrassed to talk about him. So I wrote about my brothers. My speech therapy teacher was like, well, how old are they? I was like, one brother, Tom, he was probably like 17.
Okay.
The other one was probably like, what, 21? Jerry, like probably 21, 22 at the time. She's like, well, I don't think they really can make an impact like a father could in your life, Jordan. But she didn't know any better. That shit hurt my soul.
Yeah.
So I go back to class, and Miss Johnson, she like, my eyes red. I'm like about to cry. She's like, what's wrong? I burst out crying. So she walked me in the hallway like, Jordan, what's going on? I tell her what happened. She was like, listen, anybody that you look up to as a role model is your father figure, and that's okay.
it. Yeah.
I used to get in all the trouble in Miss Johnson class to this day, yo. The next day, she took us on a field trip to a soup kitchen. We like fed people. That's been my favorite teacher ever since. And that was like the most humbling experience. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Miss Johnson, man. That lady like showed me mad love after that. She even jumped to the 6th grade. By the time I got to the 6th grade, she was my 6th grade teacher. I think she did it for me, yo.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I forgot to shout out Miss Fleming, too. Sorry. Shout out to Miss Fleming.
Shout out Miss Fleming.
I had Miss Fleming for 2nd grade, and she loved me so much that she was going to start teaching 3rd grade that she pulled me to the side and was like, next year I'm teaching 3rd grade. You want to be in my class?
Wow.
So you just made me think of that. Thank you. Shout out to you, Brick. Thank you, Miss Fleming. Yeah.
Well, I know for me, I got a couple of teachers. First, I want to give a shout out to Miss White. That was my 5th grade teacher. I mean, I hope she's still alive. It's been a long ass time. I mean,
hope Miss Dan back alive.
She might not still be here, but if she is, man, look, she made an intricate impact on my life. Cause when I was in elementary school, I went to T.M. Paris. Shout out to T.M. Paris. That was like the only neighborhood school that I ever went to. But she seen a potential in me that nobody else seen. Like my whole problem when I was at elementary school, like I would do all my work fast and then I'd just be acting like an asshole through the whole class. That was me from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade.
Nigga,
Then
right
I
now.
finally
Right now.
then I finally got to Miss White. Now Miss White, she had this. She had the name in the school like, yo, you get Miss White, that shit that you was doing in kindergarten, 4th grade, yo, she ain't. Yeah, you know what I mean, she ain't dealing with that. So my whole mentality coming to her class, I'm like, okay, I can't fuck with Miss White, so let me. But I still tried her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but she pulled me to the side. She found my strength. So she noticed. She was like, it wasn't the fact that I was a bad kid. It was the fact that I was smarter than everybody in the class.
It wasn't a challenge, yeah.
Exactly, it wasn't no
challenge.
challenge. So what she started doing, see, she had reading. Like during our English class, she would read a story for the class. She found out that I was the strongest reader in the class because I was a character in the class clown. So when I would read the stories, like I would do all the voices and shit. So, other people would laugh at me, but it was like, but she was like, yo, that's creative. Exactly. So, what she did, she got me like harder work. So, everybody in my class, they was doing 5th grade work. I was doing 8th grade work. Like I was in a high school, like reading level. So basically, she the one that got me into my middle school. That's when I ended up going up to the Northeast because she was like, no, Gratz. No, she was like, no, Fitzsimon, because Fitzsimon was the next school. So she was like, no, you can't go to Fitzsimon, you can't go to Whittier, and you can't go to Rhodes. You is too smart. So she made sure that I went up to the Northeast. Long story short, I get up to the Northeast. I start acting like an asshole again. Because I'm like, okay, I got an opportunity. I'm away from home. My parents can't come up and catch me in school acting like an asshole. So I'm performing. Get to 8th grade. Get another teacher, Miss Napper.
Miss
So she
Napper.
was a
I like that name.
she had
Miss
a
Napper?
she had that thing with her like, yo, you can't play with Miss Napper. Like she
Yeah.
gonna shut it down. Miss Napper, like, she was like the only black teacher that I had at Austin Meehan. And she literally pulled me to the side and
Austin
was like,
Meehan, okay.
yeah, so you understand how I got the link. So
Facts.
so you know I'm at Austin. So she pulled me to the side. She like, Kareem, like, you can't come up here doing this. Like,
Oh, snap.
we gotta work 10 times harder.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When we up here. You can't come up here and act like that. She basically gave me the black talk.
Yeah.
Anybody that's black, you know what I'm saying, that go to school, they get the black talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She gave me the black talk, turned myself around. She ended up getting me this art like degree, but I couldn't get it because I fucked up like in the 6th or 7th grade. But
Right.
it allowed me to get into Swenson. Like my grades
Okay.
was good enough to get into Swenson because Swenson, like, you had to have like a crazy like
Mhm.
grade point average to get in it. So it was good enough to get in there. I don't know what it was when I got to high school. I got it together. Then I came across this lady, Miss Petrelli. This white woman changed my life.
Oh yeah, you've been
bro.
talking about her.
Yo,
right?
yo,
Shout
this
out
nigga
Miss
talking about
Petrelli.
Miss
back to
Petrelli
Miss
on his
Petrelli,
Facebook page.
Because Miss Petrelli, that's my dog, and we
Yeah.
still friends to this day.
I love that. Don't
You
you love that
know,
when you
I
can still
go
be
see
cool
her
with them?
down AC, met her
Yeah.
at the high school reunion. We got lit. Miss
Damn, that's how
Petrelli,
I love that.
this was the strongest white woman that I ever met because everybody tried to test this little white lady. Was like, yo, you a white lady. You can't control me. You don't know what I go through. Little did I know, Miss Petrelli was this old little white Italian lady, and she wasn't trying to have that shit. Like, she put hands on you. Like, if you talk crazy to her, she smack you in the back of your head like, yo, get out my class. Like, she wasn't your teacher. Like, she basically became a mother. And I think when me and her, like, when I really seen that she was there to help me,
Yeah.
I think I lost my token one day. And she literally drove me home. Like, from Red Lion Road to North Philly.
Yeah,
She
man.
lived in
And
New
let me tell you,
Jersey.
You know, that's
Oh
a
my
drive.
God.
That's
Yo.
a drive.
I never showed off for that lady ever since. And she found so many good qualities in me. Like, she transformed me doing rap into messing with the computers.
Damn.
Yeah.
She told me, okay, you drawing, but you could do that put that in the computer. So it's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. She just found like another niche for like my art.
Right.
So I don't know. She just let us be us. And then, like I said, she
But
came
that's
out the
important
guidelines.
though, right?
Like, she didn't teach
Yes,
us
that's what
school
I'm
stuff.
saying.
She taught us real life shit. She like, look, when you get out of
And that's
school,
what
like,
you
you're going to
need
have
in
to
high
pay
school.
bills. You're going to have
High
credit.
school
You're going to
need
deal
to
with
be,
college.
yo, Reem,
High-
high school
yeah.
need to be revamped.
No, it do.
I
Yeah.
say that
It
a
do.
million
They,
High
times.
school
like,
should
high
prepare
school
you
need
for
to
life
prepare you
after.
for life after.
Let me tell you, like, you need to be learning about check-ins and savings,
Credit.
right?
Or
Right.
1K,
You need
thrift
listen,
savings.
You need to learn when you get a job, right?
And
And,
I-
how to
yeah.
pick your healthcare plan.
I
don't-
think, and
Yes.
nobody
they
knows
should-
how to do that. You just
don't.
get the plan they
At
give
all,
you.
exactly. Yo, I just learned last year
yes.
what's a good health plan compared to a
No.
bad one.
The
I
job
just learned
said,
last
come
year.
with this, right? And we just take it.
I learned that shit
Yeah,
3
just
years
take
No,
ago.
seriously.
No, I'm on my
You
job
need-
insurance.
you
Yo,
need- and there's also a way you can pick and choose, like, you can change your amounts of what come out for certain things in your
Yeah,
paycheck.
right.
Nobody knows that. Like, right? Like, I'm so proud of the program I work with because my kids are learning things that everybody should just be getting, right? We got a room called functional academics, and that has a reading and math part, but they learn about the check-ins and the savings. They learned about, like calendars, how to have calendar skills and timing and how to do all that. Then they have the Pays Lab, which is where they kind of like clock into work and they do different tasks and jobs to try to figure out what's their niche. And then they have a room, we have a daily living room, and it looks like an apartment. So there's a bedroom, there's a laundromat, like a laundry space, a kitchen space. So my kids are really learning all these things because for us, functioning is the biggest push for us. We want them to be able to be
To function on their
as,
own.
as
Okay.
independent as
All
each of them can be. But they're learning things that everybody should be getting.
right.
No, and that's,
By
and
the time
think
you
that's-
get to 11th grade, I think that everyone should have a functional academics class where you're going to learn about the check-ins and savings and your net pay, right? And your gross and what
Yeah.
that means in interview skill. I think that you should be going into a room where you clock in and you clock out. Like that.
Exactly.
We got like,
No,
like we
that's
have
bullshit
that.
big. Yeah.
We have that. We
Yeah,
have like
you right.
my kids get employee of the month. Like
That's
we're
what's up.
doing.
Wow, that's
You
Yeah.
know, they get career training. Like they go out sometimes
dope.
to different jobs and stuff like that. And then, like I said, they have the apartment space where they learn about how to take care of themselves. In 11th grade, if we would drop some of the math classes and
that
replace
shit is
that,
pointless.
Algebra
Like,
2.
Algebra 3. What the
Pre-calculus.
fuck is Algebra 3?
happening?
How is it 3 levels of algebra?
if we would drop that and give everybody those courses, that's what you need junior and senior year.
Bro, because you don't need Algebra 1, 2, or
Right?
3.
Imagine
I
how-
haven't used this
Yo.
since.
Nigga, you don't even need geometry at all.
none of
Like,
that. You know what you need to
Unless
do?
you building houses.
Addition,
Hey.
subtraction, multiplication, and division.
Exactly.
The basics. But I'm just saying, think about how much time we would save from ourselves in our adulthood trying to figure that
Right.
shit out if we already had it. So when you talk about being in these areas and you sending 18-year-olds out here in the streets and you want them to just be this strong ass, super successful, we haven't really prepared them.
at
Definitely,
all.
you right.
At all.
I'm at the point where I'm like, when they leave here, they need to go somewhere else for like
Yeah.
6 months to a year.
At least for, like
What's
you
the
said,
shit just
career
on
training.
adulting? Like,
Yeah.
what is adulting and what
Right.
adulting looks like if we're not putting these tools in place
True.
for everybody, not just for programming. Like,
Right.
all y'all, like, everybody need that shit.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
motherfucker.
yeah.
Real rap, though. Real rap, though. Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes I just be like burnt out because,
Yeah.
like I said, I already fell into the shit accidentally, right? And I'm in
Yeah.
it and I'm good at it. And I don't like my job. I love my kids. That's the difference.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
See,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think you gotta have a love for the kid too.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what
Right.
made Petrelli so special.
She loved
And-
y'all.
Cause she loved us
She would've
beyond
left.
being a student.
If she didn't,
Oh, she
care
would've
about you, she
retired.
would've left.
Oh, she would have left.
But that's
She
what-
said the reason why she
Yes.
didn't leave, she was like, yo,
'Cause of
the
y'all.
students made me stay. Like she told me
Yes.
she was supposed to retire 10 years ago. She retired 5 years ago. She said, yo, she was like, they begged me to stay. They didn't want nobody else to
No,
teach the class.
Dream. It's so bad. That is why right now they can't keep educators because young
Yeah.
motherfuckers come in for 4 years. Like, yo, I'm not doing this for 20 years. I'm not doing it. So I'm at that point where like the love for the kids, that ain't even enough no more. You get what I'm saying? Like that's only gonna last you, but for so long, and then that's not enough. Especially when you're a part of a system and you know they really don't. It's really about bread and money and numbers.
Now to piggyback that, how do you feel about
Yeah.
the Meek Mill and Ruben donation to the charter schools and the private schools and not the public schools? Because I think our public schools are fucked up.
They are. They're terrible.
They've been fucked up for a long time. They was fucked up since I've been going.
Well, here's the thing, though, right? So
and
like,
charter schools get funding, if I'm not mistaken,
so
right?
this is the thing. I work for a charter school, but the charter school that I work for is kind of partnered with the district. They took over the schools that was failing or got closed down by the district.
Yeah, I know about
You know,
okay, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they took those over and stamped charter school on top of
Yeah.
it, right?
But it's still
Mhm,
school.
right? And so that means there's new paint and younger teachers, right?
Yeah.
And-
Same student, same problem.
Right.
Right.
So with that being said, I feel like this. If Meek take his money and put it into some schools, I don't think he's sitting down trying to figure out what's the best route or way to do it. I think he probably got people in this camp like, look, you need to get some money to these whoop-de-whoop and do something. And he probably just like, oh, okay.
But you,
I don't think he necessarily sitting there like,
Yeah.
let me choose the
Yeah,
right
right,
domain
right.
of
And
schools.
we only
Then-
got a
then-
couple minutes for
I
the
don't-
topic. But I don't
see that.
think I think it's like you said. I don't think he was really thinking, but I
Nah,
also
he wasn't really
believe
thinking.
that if I'm him, I'm looking at it
He got
like,
the
yo,
wrong people
public
in this
schools.
corner,
I don't know
yo.
where this money is going because
Well, look who
they
in
just
this
shut
corner,
down.
right? Look who in this corner.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't.
Right.
The people that and shout out to Meek. I like
But
Meek.
Meek is
But
from
what I-
public schools. That's what
But-
I understand.
If
Like
we talk about his corner and these are people he partnering with, 9 times out of 10, they already have chose the domain that they
Yeah.
was going to give it to.
Because they
And
hear
probably-
charter school and think it's better than a public school.
So they was already
automatically.
going to do that. But he's a face
Yeah.
and
True
he
that.
for the culture. And so
I mean, I only brought that up
No,
because
I'm
you know
just
he
saying,
got
because-
scrutinized.
So they
for
already
that.
they already had that in mind. But I guarantee you, and probably just
Yeah.
say, "Yo, Meek, you want to do this with me? I'm just thinking about doing this." Whoop,
the
whoop.
charter school.
And he probably said, "That's a dope ass idea.
Yeah.
Let's do it." More so than him sitting.
Right.
You know, I just don't. That conversation ain't go like that.
Also, I don't think people trust where the public school funding is going.
And let me tell you, I'm gonna tell you,
True.
right? How long they been working on stuff at public schools?
Yo, all them
I
high
think-
schools they shut down,
Bro,
and the schools
I'm
still got
bro,
bum ass lunch.
I'm still
Like,
trying to figure out
How long
why
they been
our
working on
kids
shit with
not
public
going
school?
to school when COVID first hit. I'm like, COVID hit in the summer. So that mean the kids wasn't in school. So you mean no janitor in no public school cleaned the schools for the whole summer? Like I don't know.
But you
I
guys,
didn't-
let me tell you, Reem, charter schools are. That's why there's a big conversation happening right now with the charter schools and the public schools, right? I don't know if you've been in touch with that, but
No, I haven't.
so they are actually because public school is losing so much money, and I'm gonna tell you how. Because charter school taking some of their kids, right? If your kid leaves your public school, somebody got to pay for that to send them there. Like there's funding. So that kid just for leaving that public school and going to that charter school is bringing money to that charter just for them being there.
And losing money from the
Damn.
public.
Right. So what's happening is the public schools, like in Philly, if you think about it, it ain't that many public schools left.
It's not.
And then the ones
They
that
tore
are,
down William Penn.
Look,
R.I.P. William Penn.
and then the ones,
in peace,
a
German
couple of them,
I know.
right? Yeah, have been changed or revamped into charter schools. Like for where I work, right? They taking the public school, you still got the public school name, but it's a charter school stamp on it.
Yeah.
So ain't that many
Yeah.
public schools left?
Yeah,
So the
facts.
public schools are pushing back right now with the charter schools because they funding is going. Every time you take a kid out the neighborhood and send them up there, that's money. going
Damn.
there. So now it's looking like this, right? Next year for enrollment, charter schools is going to have to start pushing the kids out back to their neighborhood schools.
Damn,
Wow.
until they
That's
get
the
more
that's the
funding.
fight that's happening.
Until they get
because
more funding.
because the public school is fighting them. Like we losing a lot of.
Oh.
We don't have money because y'all are getting our kids to come to y'all neighborhood.
Well,
schools.
And they just
And
got
they
their
all be
donation.
and they just got that
donation.
Mike Rubin donation.
You know what I'm saying? So like public schools and
Oh,
charter schools really they going hit the hit right now.
Yeah.
It's like a little beef happening.
Oh man.
So a part of why they don't have shit is because they claim that we taking their money.
Well, we
But
is.
see, that's another thing. Each one of my students brings thousands of dollars per kid. Because think about all the things that come with each one of my kids, right? They get related services. They all get speech therapy. They all get occupational therapy. And then, like I was saying, how we had those classes and stuff like that, there's a certain, realm of money that has to go into their programming. So each one of my kids is bringing thousands of dollars in per student.
Wow.
So it's numbers. It's about numbers.
Damn.
Sometimes I got kids in my program, I know they shouldn't even be in it for different reasons. And it's like, why they here? Because that one of them is
The
probably
money.
bringing half of somebody's salary. You know what I'm saying?
Damn.
Yeah. And yeah, listen, shit is wild. Think about
Shit.
my kids bringing all the money into the school, but when it's time for senior trips and proms and stuff like that, we found out last minute and gotta rush and tell our parents.
Yeah, that's
2
what I'm
weeks
saying. Like I
before.
just
That's weird
found out
shit.
that my son prom is May 5th. Like I knew when my prom was in December.
That's what, 2
But I'm
That's
saying,
2
Reem,
months.
I'm not even talking about general ed because I'm saying for special education kids to
yeah.
bring in all that damn money.
Yeah.
And-
Oh, they should have everything. No
That's
problem.
right.
You
It
should
should
know-
be
yeah. You should
included.
know what's
Like
about
it's
to
their
happen.
prom too.
Yeah.
While we found out about their trips, like they'll do a 12th grade trip, and I got kids that's in 12th grade. We found out the day before.
What the fuck?
Promise you. So now we got to rush and call a parent. Like it's a lot of behind the
Yeah.
scenes stuff that we have to
And
do.
that's a lot if the parent
And-
don't got it. Like,
And why is it like that
They don't want
when
the
you
kid
know
to
they
feel
in
left
12th
out.
grade too, and you know they go here,
yeah.
right?
Damn.
But that's something they'll be like, oh, we
Yeah.
forgot. It's always, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think about it. One time it got so bad that we even in my program, like voted for a person to be the person to be in touch with the gen ed grade so you can know about trips and all that, right?
Yeah.
And so it was like, yo, somebody was like, all right, I'll be that person to make sure I keep in touch with whoever's the coordinator of these. So we can always, they went and they still didn't keep that person. Like they only had to designate all the information to one person versus hitting the whole program up
Damn.
and didn't do it. So like this happened every year. When I go to graduation, when my kids graduate,
Yeah.
sometime, at least every year, one of their names is not in the program.
What?
Then I got to deal, then we got to deal with parents crying. Like,
Yeah, 'cause they can't pay for the shit. Yeah.
I advocate for my kid, right? And you mean to tell me my child name not in the something simple? Like people think
we
that's
done
nothing.
brought all this money
No,
to
that-
y'all
that-
school.
That means
Yes.
shit. I remember that
I
shit.
get the
happened to
argument. No,
It happens all the time.
My son was leaving pre-K to go to kindergarten. I was mad as shit. They had to give him somebody else's duplicated name
Yep.
because
Oh.
they didn't have his name on a paper. But
Yeah.
they did it on the like, Mr. Knox, we gonna get you. I was like, no, I'm not trying to hear that
The
shit.
shit is wild. But it happens every year, y'all. Every year. I don't want no damn Manischewitz.
Manischewitz,
I don't even know why you drink Manischewitz. But okay.
I'm
Too
Jewish,
sweet.
yeah. Jewish.
Nah. You need to listen. Y'all can have some of this right here.
Listen, we gotta close out this topic. Get to this song of the week, man.
Matter of
Great
fact, no, we
topic,
gotta
though.
let Bray bring this in. Because
Oh,
this
yeah,
is
hold
her
on.
song of the week.
For the first time ever on Pass My Wine, our special guest is going to
Bring in our
introduce
song of the week
our
because
song of the
she's the
week.
song of the week.
Yeah, thank you, fellas. I'm just glad to be here. But you guys, this is my new video. It just dropped yesterday. So shout out to the podcast because they lit and they
we've been
make it
waiting
official.
for it.
Yeah, and this is my song. It's called "Loving You." That's LUVINYOU. So look for Brittany Martin. That's BRITTANY Martin on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, get into loving you. It's about. It's what?
Got all these motherfucking bottles, bro. Oh man.
We getting fried over here.
Yo, hold up. Yo, man, where Brett at, dog? Like, where's she at?
I'm about to call her right now. I'm about to call her right now.
You know, I ain't like,
Oh, yo, see what's going on.
yeah, because I'm pretty sure she on there, man.
Hello?
Oh, Papa,
What's up?
where you at?
Popping bottles. What up, Brett? Oh, we bottling it up.
Girl, I'm on my way. I promise.
Get out from under that man and bring that ass.
Bring that ass, girl.
Oh my God, bye, ho. Loving you is all that I wanna do. I love you, I love you. Loving you is all that I wanna do. I love you, I love you. Think about you day and night. Got you always on my mind. And I don't know what it is, but it's a different kind of feel. And I don't wanna be your girl, and I ain't tryna be your wife. Baby, we don't need no titles, just you the rest of my life. Hold me down when it's rough. Good loving can't get